Wolf warrior James is about to become a father and should be enjoying bliss with his mate Clara. But his friend Serena is trapped in the pack. Stripped of freedom, James is torn between loyalty to Serena and obedience to Alpha Ajax. This juxtaposition of impending fatherhood joy and helplessness over a friend's lost freedom is profound. Let's see how James navigates friendship and duty. Chapter 11. She is back. With each stride, he felt the warm, sticky sensation of blood soaking into his fur, a grim reminder of the precious cargo he carried. Serena's life essence was steeping away, and with it, Ajax felt as if his own soul was being torn asunder. A deep, guttural growl escaped his throat, a sound that carried both anguish and determination. The bond between them, forged through countless trials and shared experiences, now served as a lifeline. Ajax knew, with a certainty that transcended mere instinct, that if Serena were to perish, a vital part of himself would die along with her. The memory of the arrow piercing her shoulder replayed in his mind, each recollection feeling like a fresh wound to his heart. Only moments ago, he had been engaged in a heated argument with James inside the cottage. Their disagreement, which now seemed trivial in comparison to the current crisis, had been interrupted by the alarming news from his warriors. The approaching rouges had shattered their fragile sense of security, and Ajax's thoughts had immediately turned to Serena's vulnerability. His protective instincts, always on high alert when it came to his mate, had propelled him into action. But even as he had burst out of the cottage, shifting forms in mid-stride, a part of him knew he was too late. It was a bitter realization, one that echoed past failures and fueled his current desperation. As he had emerged from the cottage, he had seen Serena standing there, her face a canvas of conflicting emotions, the lingering effects of their earlier argument still evident in her troubled expression. In that moment, as he had shouted for her to seek safety, their eyes had met, and Ajax had seen a flicker of something, perhaps forgiveness, perhaps fear before chaos had erupted around them. Now, as he raced through the forest with Serena's injured form, Ajax's determination burned brighter than ever. He would not fail her again. He would not let death claim the other half of his soul. With renewed vigor, he pushed on, his love for Serena driving him beyond the limits of his endurance. And that was when her body had jolted and brought to her knees and an arrow had come out of her shoulder. His world had stopped for a second, so had his heart. He had shifted by then, running and roaring toward the forest where he knew the filthy hunters had been hiding. The rouges had chosen that time to come into the clearing. He didn't remember much of the attack. His wolf had taken full control and he was in a state of madness. The next time he had come to himself was when the battle was over. He was standing on top of a shredded rouge, panting hard. His fur was soaked with the blood of his enemies. Serena, James' cry full of anguish was what broke the haze for him completely. His head snapped toward where a naked James had kneeled beside Clara, cradling Serena's limp body. He had shifted right then and had run full speed toward them. James did not protest when Ajax grabbed Serena from his arms. He had desperately called her name, caressed her hair and face, and begged her to open her eyes. But in return, she had only turned paler, if possible. It was Damien who brought him out of his miserable state. He had shaken him violently. "Ajax," he shouted, "come to your senses. She is still alive. We have to act fast." And that was an hour ago. They had secured the arrow in its place using bandages and then had strapped her to Ajax's back. And he was running full speed toward his pack, the place she hated the most. The snow layer became thinner and finally completely gone as he reached the southern parts of Aetheria. After some minutes he was out of the forest and his pack lands came into view. "Healer Jake," he shouted through his mind link as soon as he crossed the border. The power it gave him caused him to run even faster, looking like a blur. "I'm bringing my mate to the infirmary. She is shot in the shoulder. Be ready." "Yes, Alpha." Healer Jake's voice came through the mind link, though his always calm voice was a bit shocked at hearing the term mate from Ajax. A few minutes later, Ajax's large wolf stopped in front of the front door of the infirmary. The infirmary was actually the west wing of the pack house, yet it had its own entrance to keep tending to the patients faster. The old healer of the pack was standing in front of the stairs with his mate and a few nurses by his side. They had rushed toward him the moment he stopped, unstrapping Serena from Ajax's back. They quickly put her on a stretcher and rushed inside of the building. Ajax shifted on the spot, grabbing the pants that one of the nurses offered him before running after his mate. He growled when he saw the male nurses were about to grab her to put her on the bed. The male's eyes snapped to him and they gulped with frightened eyes before stepping back as he walked next to the stretcher. Gently he put his hands around her legs and back and hauled her like she was made of feature. Put her on her uninjured side, ordered healer Jake, ordering Ajax to put Serena the way he wanted. He bent quickly and wrapped the bandage and frowned when he saw vials between the layers of the cloth. "What's this?" he asked, confused, turning toward Ajax, who had stood glued to the bed, holding Serena's hand. "Her heart potion." Ajax clenched his jaw. "Her heart is weak. She needs to drink from the potion for her heart to continue beating." "But how can a wolf get heart disease?" asked Mary, Jake's mate. "She has no wolf," said Jake while examining Serena's condition. He tried to not show it, but the confusion laced with his voice and the deep creases on his brows gave it away how shocked and startled he was. He knew Serena from long ago. In fact, he and his maid had helped her and her grandmother sometimes as much as they could, though he hadn't seen much of her after her grandmother's death. He knew she had a wolf before leaving the pack. Mary gasped and covered her mouth with her hand. "Oh, my poor girl." Her eyes were fixed on Serena's pale face. Ajax's jaw ticked. "Mary, it's not time to grieve," said Jake firmly, and his mate nodded in response, before barking instructions at the nurses. Jake then turned to Ajax with a serious face. "Alpha, I need you to stay outside." "No fucking way." Ajax's response was instant. He glared down at the healer and tightened his hold on Serena's hand. His eyes were flashing silver, saying his wolf was on edge. "You have to," stated Jake firmly, holding his ground. "We have to tear her dress and I don't think she will appreciate your presence here. Besides, you will certainly interfere in the process, not letting us help her." Ajax opened his mouth to protest, but Jake raised his hand and stopped him. "Time is ticking. Alpha," he said while grabbing a hold of Ajax's arm. "We need to tend to her soon." Ajax clenched his jaw before his eyes snapped to the two male nurses who were among the others. "If I'm going out, so would those two," he snarled, his eyes flashing angrily. The thought of any male other than him seeing his mate's naked torso sent him and his wolf into a frenzy of rage. Jake nodded. "They will. Now leave. We have to hurry." He then called the two male nurses and told them to leave too. Ajax looked down at Serena's pale face and fear gripped his heart hard. It was as if his lungs were unable to take air in. "Alpha, please," Jake yelled for him, grounding his teeth hard. Ajax bent down and let his lips touch her cold, sweaty forehead. "Just hold on," he whispered. "I will make everything right, even if I have to move the mountains for you." He then stood straight again, quickly turned, and walked out of the room before his emotions could win and make him fight Jake to let him stay. He walked out of the double door of the medical ward and leaned his head on the cold wall. His breaths were coming out in shaky pants. He was dying. He blamed himself for her condition. If he had not pressured her to return to his pack to the point where she needed to go out of the cottage. If he had not slept with others so her wolf would still be alive. If he had not banished her. If he had not rejected her, and the list of ifs were going on. His fist came up and he punched the wall a few times, cracking the stony surface with his force. "Just stay alive," he mumbled under his breath with his eyes closed shut. "Just give me a chance. Serena, please." "Did you see that wolf?" asked one of the pack members from his fellows as they watched Ajax rushing inside of the infirmary. "Was he Alpha Ajax? Has he returned?" "It was him. Who else had such a huge wolf?" answered the other. "Who was the injured woman on his back?" asked a woman, trying to calm down her fussy pup. "I don't know," answered another and tilted his face up to the now clear sky. A smile stretched on his face. I just want to go and enjoy the sun. It's too good to see it after so many months. I thought we would never see it again. Yeah, spoke the first guy. We haven't had this clear sky and this good weather at this time of year for 3 years. That's because we were cursed. Everyone silently turned and watched an elderly woman walking toward them. She was hardly walking using her cane, drawing her slouched form forward slowly, her eyes fixed on the infirmary. She was the oldest member of the pack. While everyone respected her, some had begun to think she was losing her mind when she would talk about things like a curse. What do you mean? Jane asked a woman. Jane looked up and squinted her eyes at the sunny sky. She mumbled something under her breath before looking at the entrance of the infirmary again. We were cursed by the moon goddess the moment we let our Luna get banished, because we mistreat her, she answered. The pack members began to fidget uncomfortably in their spots. It was so hard to believe the old woman's words, but it was like deep down they all knew she was right. Jane raised her cane and pointed to the infirmary. That woman should be our Luna, she spoke. It seems that our Alpha has finally come to his senses and the moon goddess has taken mercy on us by bringing our Luna back to us. She then looked between the pack members, watching their uneasy faces. Go and pray for Luna to live, for she is the only one who can take away the curse that has been cast on our pack for long years. She then turned on her feet and began walking back to her cottage. Or God help us. She spoke more to herself, but thanks to Werewolf's hearing. Everyone heard her clearly. What we went through in the past 3 years will be a child's play compared to what will come upon us. Serena slowly opened her eyes and blinked a few times. Her mind was empty, clear of any thoughts. She stared at the high ceiling above her before tilting her head and looking around. She was in a spacious hall with beds lining up on both sides. Rays of the morning sun were coming from the long windows on the opposite wall, falling on the marble floor that was shining from how clean it was. Slowly she tried to sit up, but Gaston clutched her right shoulder as she felt a piercing pain in there. And that was when everything came down crashing on her. Everything from her fight with James and Ajax to her running outside, to Ajax rushing out and calling her name, to the agonizing pain in her shoulder caused by the arrow and Ajax's black wolf jumping over her. She pressed the palms of both of her hands to her eyes, as a headache formed in her head. But where was she? Where were the others? Were they okay? Was James okay? The thoughts made her come down from the bed, groaning and gasping in pain as she stood on her shaky legs and used the bed to support herself through dizziness, hanging her head a bit. Her hair fell around her freely, creating curtains on both sides of her face. She was wearing a white long cotton dress with long flowy sleeves. She could see the bandage around her torso through the somehow open neckline. Oh, you are awake. Her head whipped toward the direction of the voice so fast that she could have gotten whiplashes. Her heart pounded wildly in her chest as she watched an elderly woman with a warm smile walking toward her. The old woman's gray hair had been pulled up into a neat bun behind her head. Her eyes were sparkling as she looked at Serena with warmth and happiness. She had a pile of clean sheets in her hands that she placed on a bed neatly. Serena was sure she knew the woman and had seen her before, but she couldn't remember anything through the haze in her mind. It's so good to see you awake, Luna, but you shouldn't come out of the bed, said the elderly woman while putting a gentle hand on Serena's shoulder, trying to guide her back to the bed. And that was when realization fell on Serena at hearing the word Luna. Her heart skipped the bit and her eyes widened immediately. She was in her old pack, Ajax's pack. He had finally done what he wanted to do. Her breathing picked up as she took a step away from the now confused woman. No, 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 she mumbled under her breath, continuing to step back. Luna, what's wrong? Asked the woman, concerned, taking a cautious step towards Serena. Are you okay? Dear, where am I? Asked Serena, still hoping against hope that she somehow was wrong. Back to your pack, dear, answered the woman. In Crimson Crescent pack. Mary became more concerned when color drained from Serena's face upon hearing her words. She tried to reach the scared girl who was a second away from passing out. Let me call my mate. Okay, spoke Mary cautiously as if talking to a wounded caged animal. You are putting too much pressure on yourself. You are still too weak. Serena's eyes wide, and as she saw Mary's eyes glossed over, meaning she was using the mind link and that meant everyone including Ajax would be informed. She cowed and stay. She cowed and stay somewhere that harbored so many painful memories for her. She cowed and become Ajax's caged bird. Or worse, mate and Luna. No, I can't, spoke Serena, shaking her head frantically. I can't be here. I can't. And then she began running, ignoring Mary's frightened cries, begging her to stop, ignoring the old woman. She ran out of the door and came to a corridor and stopped dead when a few people who were there turned to face her, hearing loud footsteps from her right. She began running to her left. Her poor heart was racing so hard, trying hard to pump blood through her veins. Wait, hearing someone shout her name from behind. She pumped her legs faster, searching for an exit. Her shoulder was burning with pain and from the feeling of wetness on her back. She knew she was bleeding again. She was feeling dizzy and black spots were dancing in her vision. Yet, she continued to run without fail. She had no idea where she was. So when she saw a large foyer with big wooden double doors, she knew she had found the front door. Her ticket to go out of that hell of a cage. Only her plan and her world shattered the moment the double doors burst open and a panting Ajax stood in the doorway. Serena froze in her spot as well and began to walk backward as Ajax advanced toward her. Serena. Opened relief shone in his eyes waist. He sniffed the blood scent in the air. Step back. Don't come any closer, she warned, still stepping back. She was whizzing hard. Let me leave. Ajax's eyes flashed silver for a second, before returning to normal dark brown. I can't. Her heart sank when she saw his betas coming inside behind him. Glancing behind her, she quickly changed her retreat direction when she saw a herd of people running her way through the corridor she had come from, led by Nick. Serena. Her head snapped toward another door, and much to her relief, she saw James running out of it with Claire beside him. James. She cried and ran to him. He quickly opened his arms and caught her when she practically threw herself at him. Thanks to heavens, spoke James, looking into her eyes with worry and relief mixed. Thanks to heavens that you are awake. I was so James. Please help me. She cut his ramble off quickly, desperately clutching his shoulders. Tears were running down her face like rivers. Please, I need to leave here. Please help me leave. I can't stay here. I can't. By then a few pack members that were in the pack house had gathered around, watching the scene as well. Serena, you need to calm down. Ajax took a step toward her. Seeing her in that panicked state was like stabbing him in the chest over and over. He could easily hear her frantic heart beating wildly in her ribcage. The blood stain on her shoulder was growing larger by the second, and he knew by Healer Jake's frantic eyes that it was not a good sign. She's starting to have a panic attack. It's poison for her heart. We should calm her down. Healer Jake's voice came through their mind-linked and everyone tensed. Serena's panic only increased by hearing Ajax's voice. Her eyes became more frantic and tears ran down harder. James, I'm begging you, she sobbed, trying to let air in her clenched lungs. Take me back home, please. James glanced at Ajax's direction. It was killing him to see Serena like that. Never had she pleaded with him for something other than taking care of himself. So it was torture to see her in that state and be unable to do anything. Her petite body was trembling so badly, and his hand that was rubbing soothing circles on her back was getting wet by blood. Serena, calm down, little one, said James with a soft voice. You are bleeding. Let's go back to the infirmary so Healer Jake know. She shouted. I want to leave. Please help me go back home. I will do as you say. I will marry Alric. Just help me out. He gulped, looking into her eyes with pain. I can't, he said quietly. I can't disobey my alpha. Serena's hands on his shoulders became slack before falling from them completely. She glanced at Clara, who was looking back at her with concern before slowly backing away from James. Her eyes landed on the mate mark that was sitting proudly on the space between his neck and shoulder. I have joined the pack, explained James. You were unconscious for almost a week. We were all worried for you." The look of betrayal on her face toward him killed him over and brought tears to his eyes. Never had she looked at him like that. Ever. It was like all of the trust she had in him vanished in a second. "Serena," he called her with a desperate voice. "You are one of them now," she whispered, backing away from him. Her breath was short and her vision was so blurry. Her world was spinning. "You are like them." James's heart clenched and the first hair ran down his face as he saw her slide down the wall where she had backed off to. She looked like a small scared and wounded animal, backing away to a corner hopelessly from predators. "Serena," he choked, wanting to step toward her but stopped when he saw Ajax walking toward her in long strides. She desperately clawed at her chest, urging air to enter her lungs. But Ajax quickly crouched in front of her and grabbed her hands. "Healer Jake," he shouted for the old healer who rushed toward them as well. Seeing the whole order had shattered Ajax a lot. His heart had broken over and over again seeing his mate trying to run away from her pack, from him, and go into a panic attack. His eyes were fixed on the hooded eyes of his mate, watching her struggling to breathe. He brought her between his legs and pressed her to his chest, hoping his warmth would calm her down like all of the other mates. But her body stiffened even more, and the next second, her eyes rolled back and she became limp in his arms. Chapter 12. Chained. Serena opened her eyes once again and instantly was met by the concerned look of healer Jake, who was examining her. He smiled, relieved the moment he saw her focused eyes. "Oh, hello, 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 Luna." He smiled fondly but frowned immediately as he saw her struggling to sit up. Hey, you shouldn't sit up," he objected, putting his hands on her shoulders to lie her down on the bed gently. "You are going to rip the new stitches on your shoulder." But Serena struggled and sat against the headboard as far as possible from Jake. She pulled her knees to her chest, ignoring the searing pain in her shoulder and staring wide-eyed at the healer before her. "Please calm down, Luna," said Jake, raising his hands in surrender. His eyes were sad and troubled as he stared into his Luna's frantic eyes. He could easily hear the loud beating of her heart. "Don't call me that," said Serena breathlessly and fell into a coughing fit due to her parched throat. Jake quickly filled a glass of water and handed it to her. She quickly downed the glass of water and even accepted the next one that Jake offered. She looked around worriedly and found herself back in the medical ward. No one was there except for her and Jake, and by the light that was coming from the windows. It was afternoon. Her eyes automatically went to the doors of the hall, and she gulped nervously as expecting the devil himself to walk through the doors and take her with him to the pits of hell. "Please calm down, dear. You are safe here," spoke Jake, his tone soft and reassuring. He gave her a reassuring smile when her eyes snapped to him. "Do you remember me?" Serena nodded her head hesitantly. "I remember you, healer Jake," she said in a small voice. Jake's eyes wide, and when she suddenly leaned forward and grabbed his hands with hers, the look on her face turned pleading in a second. "Please help me run away," she begged quietly, her eyes flickering to the door in worry before back to Jake. "I can't stay here. Please." Jake's heart clenched at seeing his Luna that desperate and afraid of his pack. He really wanted to help her calm down, but there was no way for him to help her run away. Ajax had gathered everyone the day after his arrival to the pack, had informed them about Serena's return and her title, and had ordered everyone with his alpha tone to never help her run away from the pack. Jake sat at the edge of the bed, keeping eye contact. "I can't help you, my lady. We have orders from Alpha to not help you escape. I'm sorry." He told the truth, sympathy CLY. Serena quickly pulled her hands away and backed away from Jake. Tears ran down her face as she tasted the bitter taste of betrayal by those she trusted the most in her life. Another damage thanks to Ajax first James, and now the only two people in the pack she could trust. And to say her heart shattered was an underestimate. A tear ran down her cheek as she closed her eyes and clawed at her chest. Her heart was once again aching. "Are you feeling pain in your heart?" asked Jake quickly at seeing her movement. His concerned eyes were fixed on her face, trying to see any discomfort. "Do you need your heart potion?" Warrior James has brought lots of it with himself. Serena shook her head and opened her eyes. Jake was shocked to see determination blazing in those emerald orbs. "I'm going to leave without anyone's help," said Serena, and threw the blanket off her legs and slung her legs from the side of the bed. "Ready to go down. Your alpha can't keep me here. I'm no one to him and am banished from this pack." Just as she was about to go down the bed, Jake grabbed her arm in a firm grip. Her head turned and looked at the old man's serious face. "Just listen to me for a moment before leaving. Please. I have something to offer you. I convinced Alpha to stay out until I talk to you. It was so hard, seeing that he acts more like a savage animal since he has arrived with you. But I was able to reason with him and be the first one to talk to you." Sighing defeated and knowing he wouldn't let her go without her listening, she nodded for him to continue. Jake smiled, relieved, and let go of her arm. "I'm going to suggest you stay here, my lady, at least until you heal completely," he began, his face once again serious. "Right now, your body is so weak. You can't go back to your home alone, and it's so dangerous south of the borders, seeing that hunters and rouges are lurking around." Serena looked away and dropped her troubled eyes to her hands that were in her lap. She knew Jake was right. She had no chance of reaching her home in the condition she had without any help. She knew her body and its limits. "But your wound or the threat outside of the pack is not good to leave," spoke Jake after a moment, choosing his words wisely. "Alpha Ajax won't let you leave at all. You are his mate." Serena's head whipped toward him and her hard eyes set on him defiantly. "I'm not his mate," she said harshly. "Have you forgotten as well? He rejected me in front of everyone. I don't know what is his problem." "Yes, I get your point," nodded Jake, trying to ease her a bit by showing his understanding. "But you know he wants you back. No one knows everything about rejection because it's so rare. No one is sure what effects it will have on both parties. But what I can see is that it sure hadn't destroyed the mate pull, because Alpha can sure as hell feel it yet." Serena looked away angrily, clenching her hands. "He has no right to act like a possessive mate. Not at all," she seethed. "Yes, I agree," replied Jake, "but he has no control over it. First, it had been the mate pull, and then he gets to know what an angel you are, and now he can't stay away. His wolf is driving him crazy as well. He is on edge all the time and has become so aggressive, just like every other male werewolf when they find their mates. Add the fact that he is an alpha and the emotion is 10 times more for him, and you will have a disaster." They fell silent for a moment. Serena was busy thinking and killing Ajax in her mind in different ways, and Jake was staring intently at his Luna's furrowed face. "I believe he should be punished for what he had done," said Jake, breaking the silence and gaining Serena's attention. "And I think he is already being punished badly. He is craving you so badly. His soul and body yearn for you but can't have you. And that is a grave punishment for him." He paused for a second before continuing. "Your recent injury and your heart disease are bugging him greatly as well. The fear of losing you drives him to madness. He has destroyed his office 4 times this week in the haze of anger, is training warriors to their limits, has punched a poor warrior to a pulp in training just because he was smiling at his friend, snaps at everyone in his vision. And the list goes on. It's not my fault." Serena defended herself quickly. "Of course it's not," nodded Jake. "What I'm trying to say is how much it will be hard for you to leave. Ajax will find you very quickly and bring you back. You are no match for him in physical strength." Serena looked away and squeezed her eyes tightly. She knew he was right. Yet she cowled and stand the thought of staying in the pack. She was already feeling suffocated. "So I say you stay here at least till your wound heals fully and you can travel again," continued Jake. "I don't think Alpha will want you less after a month. If anything, it would become more intolerable for him to stay away from you for a second. But maybe we can find a way." He bit his lips and looked at her hopefully before adding the last part cautiously. "Or maybe you change your mind about us after a month and stay here on your own." Serena hung her head. Her hair created a curtain around her face, hiding the tears that ran down her face. But the trembling of her delicate body didn't go unnoticed by Jake, and his eyes softened. "This is too much. whispered Serena with a shaky and choked voice. There are too many painful memories on every corner of this pack for me. I'm sorry. Dear. Jake put a gentle hand on her shoulder and squeezed lightly. It's not my place to say this, but I'm an old man with more experience than you. I have seen how time can change things. How memories of one place can change in a second. Serena turned her head and looked at him with tearful eyes, receiving an encouraging smile in return. What I'm trying to say is that time can heal many things. It can change many things. He then shrugged. Who knows? Maybe so many good memories happen for you in the future that cover the stench of those bad memories completely. Serena sniffled and closed her eyes, defeated. She didn't believe any amount of time could heal the deep wounds that were engraved on her soul. Some memories were so painful that no amount of good memories could help her forget them. I won't stay in Alpha's room or anywhere in the pack house where pack members roam all the time. She voiced her condition coldly, somehow agreeing to Jake's offer. A big grin formed on Jake's face. You won't have to worry about it, he answered quickly. I have already ordered for my office to be turned into a bedroom for you. It's not big, but it has its own bathroom and has windows to the herb garden. Besides, it's in a secluded area behind the infirmary. No one will disturb you there. I'm sure. This is only for 1 month, said Serena, not wanting him to think that she had forgiven everything. Until I heal and can figure out what to do with your Alpha. Jake nodded. Of course. He stood up and clapped his hands. Now if you allow me, I'm going to let my mate in to tend to you and help you to your new room while I talk with Alpha. He then chuckled before continuing. He is driving me insane by forcing me to answer the mind link. I can't keep it off for long before he barges in. Serena's body stiffened. She didn't want to see him at all. Let's not forget your friends, said Jake. And I'm not only talking about your friend James who has derived me nuts, but Gamma Nick, Baited Amian, and Warrior Toby. You have a big fan club. Luna. Please don't call me Luna, Serena quickly asked. I'm Serena. Please call me by my name. Not a title that is not for me. Jake's smile faded a bit. Oh, okay, Serena, he said a bit awkwardly. By the way, everyone, especially Alpha and your friend James, wants to see you. I have used a lot of my authority to keep them outside. Can I let them come in to see you only for a few minutes? No, Serena's answer was instant. Her heart clenched again at remembering the betrayal she had felt. I don't want to see James or your Alpha. I don't want to see anyone today. Jake forced a smile, thinking about the mission impossible that he had ahead to keep the herd of worried people outside. I will see what I can do, he said, and with that, he turned and walked away toward the door. Alpha. Ajax nodded for Toby and Harry, who were standing in front of Serena's temporary room. It was so hard for him to accept healer Jake's words about letting her stay there. He wanted to take her to his room, their room, but after so many convincing talks from his betas, Jake, Mavis, James, and Clara, and after the broken vases and a few punch holes in his office wall, he finally agreed to let her stay there until she heals. He had immediately assigned an eager Toby and one of his best warriors called Harry as Serena as personal guards. He trusted both of them. Toby loved Serena dearly and was ready to do anything for her, and Harry was a great and loyal warrior. He nodded as the two warriors bowed their heads in respect when they saw him and coming towards Serena's room carrying a tray of food. It had come to his attention that she had returned her dinner untouched, so he was there to shove it down her throat if needed. Based on healer Jake, she was healing even slower than a human and her body was so weak. The news had caused a broken desk in his office, and then she had dared to refuse to eat when she needed it the most. Ajax was fuming when he heard the report of the maid he had assigned to Serena. James was also going crazy with worry. The great warrior had broken down the second Jake told him she had refused to see anyone, especially James and Ajax. He knew he had fucked up big time. He had turned his back to Serena when she had needed him the most. He had let them bring her to the where she was afraid the most, and he couldn't forgive himself ever. Ajax raised his hand and knocked on the door. He waited for a moment. He barged in when he received no response. fearing she might have fainted or something like that. His eyes roamed around the room frantically before settling on her small body perched at the edge of the window, gazing outside. Her puppy, who was brought to the pack by James, was in her arms and was looking at Ajax warily while Serena was petting her head obstinately. Lazily she turned her head toward the door but quickly looked outside again after seeing the intruder. "I asked healer Jake to not allow anyone to come into this room," she drawled, emotional as lie. "You didn't eat your dinner," said Ajax, ignoring her statement. He placed the tray on the bedside table before turning to her and crossing his arms. "You should not sit there too. It's cold and makes your body stiff." She didn't acknowledge him, continuing to look outside, rolling his eyes. Ajax walked toward her. She let out a squeal as she was suddenly up and into his arms. He did his best to be gentle, yet she hissed in pain as her back muscles stretched a bit. Her arms unconsciously went around his neck for support, making Ajax's heart flutter. He cherished all of those small moments when he could hold her in his arms, despite all of his cells screaming for him to set her on his lap and feed her. He gently put her on her bed and helped her to get comfortable by arranging the fluffy pillows behind her. After hearing that she had agreed to stay in that room, he had ordered the best mattress, pillows, and his own blanket and comforter to be brought for her. He knew she cowled and smelled his scent from the blanket and the comforter, and it was his happy little secret as he tucked her in. Serena let him shower her with caring. She knew in order to leave the pack, she had to keep him calm as much as possible. Healer Jake's warnings as he was helping her to move into the room were still ringing in her ear. He had warned her that their alpha's primal need to be near his mate, protect, and mark her was at its peak. A small resistance from her side might have caused him to chain her in his room, or worse, suddenly mark her. "Jake and his mate alongside all of our healers are working to find a cure for your heart," spoke Ajax after making sure she was covered well. He pulled a chair and sat down next to the bed, facing her. "I have given them absolute resources to search for a cure in all around Etheria," he continued, his intense dark eyes fixed on Serena. "I'm sure soon they will find something." Serena sighed and closed her eyes, shaking her head. "If Sebastian believes there is only one way to cure me, then there is only one. You are wasting your energy and resources." Ajax's hands balled to fists, remembering the cure that the mage had suggested. His eyes flashed silver at the thought. In the past few days, he had enough time to think about it. And the more he had thought about it, the more he had become angry. What if he had not found Serena at that time? If they were not in the cottage, maybe James would have succeeded in convincing her to mate with the Vampire King. Maybe she would accept. She could have been the Vampire Queen by then, mated to another man, being loved and cherished by another man, and maybe soon pregnant by the said man, carrying his children. He had destroyed his office for the 5th time since his arrival after reaching that conclusion. He had prayed and thanked the moon goddess so many times to put Serena in his way, and his dumb ass before losing his mate forever to someone else. And now the mere thought of that cursed cure was making his blood boil. That fucking mage is wrong. He gritted through clenched teeth, narrowing his eyes at Serena. There should be another way. Serena sighed again. She knew there was no use to reason with the possessive alpha. She knew she had a hard path of ever fleeing his clutches again. She needed plans, and she needed them soon. Her eyes opened when she felt the tray of food being placed on her lap. She looked up at Ajax, who leaned back on his chair. He ordered sternly, "You need nutrition. You are weak. Please let me leave," she said despite her better judgment. Ajax looked away from her and stared outside of the window. "You know damn well that I can't," he answered coldly. "Don't bring it up. You will stay here in the pack with me." Her hands balled into tight, shaky fists as anger flared in her. "You can't keep me here, caged like an animal," she practically spat angrily. Ajax turned and fixed his hard eyes on her. "You are not caged at all." He frowned. "You are free to go anywhere within the borders of the pack. It's your choice to act like a caged animal." She badly wanted to grab the knife in the tray and kill him with that. "Are you deaf? Can't you understand?" she seemed, glaring dagger right into his eyes. "I don't want to be in your pack. I hate it here. Ajax's eyes flashed, and his wolf snarled angrily, blaming him for their mate's hatred toward their pack. Eat your food, he growled. I don't have any appetite, said Serena stubbornly. She picked the tray to place it aside only to be stopped by Ajax's hand that grabbed the other side of the tray. Stopping her, he forced the tray back into her lap, mindful of the bowl of soup in it. Eat the damn food or I will shove it down your throat by force, he snarled, looking at her threateningly as his eyes turned silver again. I will surely enjoy it, so you can be sure as fuck that I'm serious. It's your choice. I won't leave this bloody room until that tray is void of food. Gritting her teeth, she kept eye contact, killing him with so many different methods in her mind, each more painful than the other, but she knew she couldn't match his power. She was really a chained prisoner in his house. Maybe not by visible chains, but with invisible ones made of his arrogance and willpower. Closing her eyes, she let out an irritated, defeated sigh before reluctantly picking up the spoon and eating the food, only thinking about one thing. Could she ever be free again? If not, she wished for her heart to stop beating so soon for the sake of her sanity. Chapter 13, Family Ties. 2 days passed since Serena was moved into Healer Jake's transformed office. The only people she had seen were her guards, Healer Jake and his mate Mary, and, of course, Ajax. He had taken it upon himself to bring her every meal and sit in her room until she was finished. He would say his reason was to make sure she ate her food, but everyone knew he was only doing that to be able to see her. And it was killing him to see her in her room all the time, looking outside of the window sadly. So on the second day, he ordered Toby to persuade her to go out into the infirmary's garden at least. The sky was clear for days and the weather had turned much warmer since she had arrived at the pack, much to the pack members' delight. Only at night, a light drizzle would come every now and then, keeping everything clean and hydrated. So Toby didn't need to bug her so much. She had agreed and had enjoyed her stay in the infirmary's garden. At least there she could feel a bit free. Toby and Harry had brought so many blankets and had created a warm place for her to sit comfortably. She was unaware of many eyes looking at her discreetly through the windows of the pack house, happy to see her out and shining under the sun, hoping she could adjust to staying in the pack with them. It was not shocking to anyone that she announced she wanted to go to the garden the next day, but she was shocked when she saw a table with a few chairs placed in the garden, and she knew it was Ajax's doing. She had glared at Toby and Harry accusingly, but Harry was quick to say that it was a good change and she had to accept it if she wanted to stay in the garden longer, and she didn't spend most of the day in the garden, though she preferred to have Puppy with her most of the time. It seemed the traitor dog had found some friends between the orphan pups and pack, and she was more than content to leave Serena most hours of the day and spend time with her new friends playing. It was there, after 3 days of her new settlements, that she finally had to other visitors. She was so engrossed in the book that she had taken from the bookshelf in her room that morning. She had decided if she wanted to stay sane, she had to do something, so she had settled to find an antidote for the poison that had been used on Beta Greystone. She still didn't know what it was and it was bugging her greatly, especially since the threat of the hunters and rouges was growing by the day. She was taking notes hastily when she heard Toby clearing his throat. "What is it, dear?" she asked without looking up at Toby. She had no bad feelings for the young wolf and was still very fond of him. She had even come to like the silent warrior. Harry. He was a year older than Toby but much more serious. His face was stone cold all the time. A few times that he had spoken, his words were wise. "It seems you have visitors," said Toby hesitantly. Serena's heart sank and her head snapped up toward the direction of the pack house where she saw Clara and Mavis walking toward her. Clara was anxiously fidgeting with her hands, her eyes fixed on Serena. Mavis's face was emotional and she was walking firmly like the warrior she was. Clara was wearing a dark green dress, while Mavis was wearing a white tunic, brown leggings, and long boots. Serena's vision of the two women was blocked by Harry's large body. She craned her neck up and saw Harry looking down at her. "Just say the word and we will send them away," he said seriously. Serena thought for a second before shaking her head and standing up slowly. "It's okay," she said quietly. "I can't hide away forever." Nodding his head, Harry stood aside just as Clara and Mavis reached them. "Luna," they both said before bowing their heads. Toby and Harry bowed to the two women before walking away and standing at the entrance of the pack house, giving the women some privacy. "Please call me Serena," said Serena, clasping her hands in front of her. "I'm not your Luna." The previous tension in the air only intensified, and Clara and Mavis exchanged a hesitant look. "How are you?" asked Clara worriedly. Serena forced a smile. "I'm fine. Don't worry yourself for me," she said. "What has brought you here?" "Sorry for disturbing you," answered Mavis, trying to not show how nervous she was feeling. The guilt she was feeling for her past doing on Serena didn't let her keep eye contact with her for more than a few seconds. "We thought maybe you would like to go and have a look around. Seeing as you are staying here, we thought you would want a tour of the pack house and around it," she offered, hopeful to be able to finally take Serena out of her sanctuary. "Oh," said Serena, a bit shocked. "Thank you for your consideration, but that's not necessary." She was not the same teenager who felt scared out of her skin at the sight of Mavis. She was well able to defend herself. And besides, Mavis had changed greatly herself. But still, Serena was feeling comfortable around her. Memories of the past disturbed her greatly, and she knew if it was not because of her medication, she would have nightmares at nights for sure. "I'm not going to stay here in your pack for long," she said, skipping the part where she didn't have any interest in seeing anyone from the pack. She was distracted by her notes as a slight breeze below them away slightly. She was so busy picking them up and tucking them between her book that she didn't see the other women exchanging a worried look between each other. Clara took a step forward when Serena turned to look at them again. "Will you see James at least?" she asked cautiously, fearing Serena's reaction. "My poor mate is so disrupted. He is beating himself up so much for not being able to help you. He is so sad and spends so much of his time in the training center to let out his anger on himself." She then grabbed Serena's hands, taking her by surprise before pleading again. "Please, Serena," she said with pleading eyes. "Just let him see you for a second. He is going crazy." Serena's face softened. Of course, James would beat himself up for turning her down like that. She had called him a traitor, and it must have weighed so much on him. The poor man didn't deserve it one bit. He didn't have any choice. He couldn't do anything in front of Ajax, even if he wanted to. For Ajax was one of the most powerful alphas. In fact, she was happy he didn't do anything. If he had gone against Ajax, he would have surely killed him. She squeezed Clara's hands and smiled at her warmly. "It's okay," she said. "Please tell him to meet me in my room in a bit." Clara's eyes widened in delight, and she quickly pulled Serena in a tight hug before letting her go. "Thank you so much, Serena," she squealed. "I'm going to give him the news and help him to get ready to meet you." And then she was sprinting toward the pack house as if someone was after her, making Serena chuckle and Mavis smile. God, they are hopelessly in love. Mavis smirked, watching Clara disappear through the door. "I'm sure it won't be long before their pups will run around the pack." "How about you?" asked Serena, making Mavis' head whip her way. She smiled, gesturing to Mavis' belly. "When are you due?" Mavis' eyes grew wide with shock. How do you know?" she asked with disbelief. Serena's smile widened. "I'm a healer. I know when I see a pregnant woman," she answered. "I guess you are in your early months." "Like 1 or 2. Does your mate know?" Mavis dropped her eyes to the ground and shook her head. "No," she sighed. "With everything that is going on, I thought it's better if I don't tell him yet." She jumped a bit when she felt a delicate hand on her shoulder. Her eyes snapped shut and was met with Serena's warm green eyes. "Tell him tonight," said Serena gently. "It won't be long before your scent changes and the baby's heartbeat becomes visible. And it's better if he hears the news from his mate." Mavis stared at Serena with troubled eyes. "How can you be friendly with me?" she asked, becoming paler a bit. "Concerning Serena, I was one of those who made your life hell. How can you be so calm and friendly with me? Serena dropped her arm beside her and looked away into the forest. I think because I'm too tired and don't have the energy for hate. She frowned. Hate is a strong emotion that takes so much energy from you. I just don't have time for it. I want to forget the past and move forward. Mavis looked at her with soft eyes. I'm so sorry. Serena, she said, gaining Serena's attention. I'm so sorry for what I did in the past. I was a selfish brat. I hope you forgive me one day. Serena just stared at her for a moment before nodding her head. We will see what future will bring us, she finally said. Mavis nodded. If you need anything, please let me know. I will help you as much as I can. Serena smiled and nodded her head. Mavis left after that, leaving Serena with her thoughts. Was she able to forgive what they had done to her? She had just returned to her room when there was a knock on her door. Come in, she said loudly. The door opened slowly and she smiled when she saw James standing there, looking like a guilty criminal with a bouquet of wild flowers in his hand. Hello, James, she said, maintaining her smile though her heart shattered at seeing how awkward and hesitant he was to enter the room and approach her. Her heart sank as she took him in. He looked like a mess. There were dark bags under his eyes. His hair was a mess and he looked so tired and stressed. She felt her heart clenching for him, blaming herself for his condition. He should have been with his mate, enjoying the early days of being mated together. He had waited for it for a long, yet there he was, looking like he had gone through hell and back, all because of her. Hi, little one, said James in a choked voice. These are for you. She awed as she took the flowers from him. Thanking him, she turned her back to him and put the flowers in a vase on the desk. What she saw upon turning shattered her heart. Tears had brimmed in James' eyes and his bottom lip quivered as he closed the door behind him. Serena's smile dropped when she saw the tears falling down his eyes. Oh, my dear James, she mumbled and rushed forward, pulling the large warrior into a tight hug. James quickly hugged her back and squeezed her tightly, mindful of her injury. I'm so sorry, Saren, he whispered. I'm so fucking sorry. You don't know how shitty I feel to not be able to help you. I hate myself so much. Serena squeezed him more. Tears fell from her own eyes as well. Please, James, don't do this to yourself. She pulled away a bit to look into his eyes, smiling through her tears. It's okay. I understand. She wiped his tears and put a hand on his shoulder. If someone should be sorry, it's me, she said. I'm so sorry to call you a traitor. I totally understand. Please stop blaming yourself. I don't blame you at all. I shouldn't have pushed you away. It was killing me to not be able to help you, said James, his always calm voice shaky with emotions. But I can't go against my alpha's direct orders. It hurts. Serena, I thought I lost you. My family. My little sister. Serena shook her head, feeling her heart breaking more. It's not your fault at all. She reassured him. I love you. I love you. James, I still trust you with my life. You are my hero. My protector. My brother. James pulled her into another tight hug, and both of them cried relieved. Serena finally allowed herself to relax in his familiar warm embrace. She had missed him so much and hated herself for putting him through so much pain and depriving herself of his soothing presence. Goddess. James laughed under his breath and pulled back, wiping his face. I'm happy no one saw me like this, crying like a baby. I have a reputation to maintain as the new strong warrior and Clara's mate. Serena giggled, earing a playful glare from James. Hey, don't laugh at me. He winced. As always, you make me feel like a baby. You are adorable. Don't worry, she said, pinching his cheek, giggling more at his annoyed face while swatting her hand away, growling. Her eyes softened as she looked up at her dear friend. I'm so sorry for hurting you with my words, she said. James shook his head, grabbing her hand. He guided her toward her bed and they both sat down. I understand you too, he said, concerned. I hate that you are kept here against your will. I feel so helpless and torn. Serena dropped her eyes to her hands that were placed in her lap. Do you have any plan for escaping? He asked seriously. Serena shook her head. Not yet, she said and looked at James again. But don't expect me to discuss my plans with you if I ever found a way. I don't want to put you in trouble with your alpha. James' eyes saddened, but he nodded. I understand, he said. It would have been so great if you could stay here in the pack where I know you are safe. You know that I can't stay here. James, she said gently. Every corner of this land harbors bad memories for me. She smiled tiredly and put her hand on top of his. Don't beat up yourself, she said. You have already protected me enough. I will be safe if I leave. James sighed and dropped his head defeated. Suo, said Serena after a moment of silence, trying to change the subject and lighten the mood. How are things between you and Clara? Are you enjoying the mated life? James perked up at hearing his mate's name. He looked up and smiled at Serena. Goddess, she is perfect, he said with dreamy eyes as he touched the mark on his neck. I love her so much. She helped me a lot in the past week when I was in a shitty mode. Serena's heart clenched and she dropped her eyes to her lap. I'm sorry, she said. You have just found your mate. You should have had time to just lay back and enjoy your time with her. But instead again I worried you and ruined that for both of you with my troubles. I'm sorry. Just shut up. Will you? Snapped James with a deep frown on his face. When are you going to understand that you are no burden? You are family. Serena. Family stands by each other in thick and thin. They don't leave each other to deal with life's shit alone. Serena's heart fluttered and she felt warmth in her soul after days. She looked up and her glossy eyes met James' blue eyes and she smiled. Thank you, she whispered, unable to talk louder without bursting into tears. James pulled her into his arms, hugging her sideways. He ran his hand through her hair, feeling her tears dampen his shirt. Sure, don't cry, Saren. He tried consoling her. What did you expect? You are so great and lovable that someone should be an idiot to not love you. I am the one who should be thankful for you. You are someone who saved me, gave me hope and a reason to live, and also gave me a family. So thank you, Serena. Serena bit her lip to stop herself from sobbing loudly. She was forever grateful to God for letting her meet James and Alfie. James' words meant a lot to her. Even after 3 years of leaving her pack, it felt so nice to hear someone loving her and accepting her, when everyone in her pack, especially her mate, had rejected her. James and Alfie accepted her without a second of hesitance, not caring that she was a rouge without a wolf, that she was banished from her pack, or that she had once a wolf with magic. They just saw her as who she was and accepted her as she was. They gifted her a life that she had yearned for, a family and friends who supported her and loved her no matter what. She had a great family, and for that, she was forever grateful. Meeting James lifted her spirit a lot. The soft smile didn't leave her face for the rest of the day, not even in the presence of Ajax. Instead, it only widened when she went to bed that night and heard the happy roar of a man yelling to the world that he was going to be a father.